ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So yesterday we discussed A, B, C, D, E, F, the 5 reasons why we can accept, by which we can accept that there is a supreme power in this world. So A stands for artistry, means there should be an artist. B stands for beautiful organization, means there should be an organizer. We saw the example of videos of spider and the honeybees. Then we saw C. Any creation should have a creator. Design should have a designer. Then energy should have an energetic person behind that energy. And then laws, flawless laws, should have a lawmaker. So from this we concluded that there should be a person behind. There is supreme power controlling all this phenomena. So continuing this topic, so today we will see what do the great scientists tell about the existence of God. So let's hear from their voice. Yeah. So let's start with Albert Einstein, who is one of the famous figures in science. He says, there is a perfect brain behind all the natural physical laws. Albert Einstein. It's a perfect brain, note this word, perfect brain behind natural physical laws. Yesterday we learned about law of gravitation, laws of thermodynamics, laws of optics, and so many other laws. So it should have a perfect brain. These have not come by chance. Erwin Schrödinger, right? You might be knowing Schrödinger's theory. So he says, I am very astonished that the scientific picture of the real world around me is very deficient. It gives a lot of factual information, puts all our experience in a magnificently consistent order, but it is ghastly silent about all and sundry that is really near to our heart, that really matters to us. It cannot tell us a word about red and blue, bitter and sweet, physical pain and physical delight. It knows nothing of beautiful and ugly, good or bad, God and eternity. Science sometimes pretends to answer questions in these domains, but the answer very often are so silly that we are not inclined to take them seriously. So basically what Schrödinger is studying, that science tries to explain so many material phenomena, like laws of optics and so many phenomena in this world, like movement of the planets and all, they are able to explain. But science cannot explain what is happiness. It cannot explain about pain and pleasure, beautiful and ugly, right? These things cannot be explained by science, right? Science can just show some photos, but whether it's beautiful or not, that it cannot say. What is happiness? How can you scientifically define happiness? And if you ask a scientist, he will say, oh, some hormones are getting secreted in the body and they are going to the brain and you are creating the sensation of happiness. But is happiness some chemical reactions? No. Actually, when you become happy, that is the time when chemicals or hormones are secreted. And when you're happy, when you experience emotion of happiness, then it leads to hormones being secreted. Reverse is not true. Otherwise, you can just keep taking some happiness hormones. If you're morose, you can take some happiness dose and you become happy. No, that doesn't happen, isn't it? So, soul causes, when soul is happy, that triggers the secretion of hormones in the brain, right? So that science cannot explain. If you think strongly enough, you will be forced by science to believe in God. Lord Kelvin, right? Kelvin's scale of temperature, you must be knowing. So he says, if you think strongly enough, you will be forced by science to believe in God, right? So Previously, they thought that cell is a very tiny thing and it is indivisible. But later on, scientists came to know that cell itself is a big factory in itself. Right? Cell is not very simple. Even initially, they thought that atomic model, atom is indivisible. Dalton said. But then somebody else came and said, no, atom is divisible. Thomson said it has positive and negative charges. Then Rutherford came and said, yeah, positive charge is centered in the middle and negative charge is floating around. Then Bohr came and said, no, negative charge is not just floating around, it is in specific orbitals, orbital theory. And later on, somebody else came and said, in the nucleus also, there are subatomic particles like quarks. So, and this cannot come by chance. Maybe a simple atom must have come in chance, but such a complex atom cannot come by chance. So that's what Kelvin says. Little science takes you away from God. More deep study of science takes you closer to God. That's Kelvin, right? So Isaac Newton, the great physicist actually, physicist Isaac Newton had a friend. So Isaac Newton's friend was an atheist. He did not believe in God. So they used to argue. Newton will say God exists. Then friend will say God does not exist. Like this, they will keep arguing. And whole day they will argue. So it became evening. So Newton said, it's already late. I have to go and take my dinner. So why don't you come tomorrow morning for breakfast? We'll continue our discussion. So next day morning, friend came to the home of Newton and he knocked on the door. And he found that the door was slightly open. So he opened the door fully and entered inside. And when he entered inside, he saw a beautiful model of solar system. Right? So this kind of model, solar system, with sun and the moon and the planets all going around. And there is a shaft also. When you rotate it, the planets will start moving around. And the friend was amazed. Hey Newton, where are you? Please come. So Newton came into the hall, the main room, and friend said, "It's such a wonderful model. I also want one copy of this in my home. Can you tell me who made this?" And Newton said, "I don't know. In the night before sleeping, I just kept some sticks and some bearings. And in the morning, by chance, this has come." And his friend laughed, "Hey Newton, are you a fool? Whole world knows you like a great scientist, but you are making such a silly statement that this has come by chance. Somebody must have made. Tell me who has made this." No, it has come by chance. It has just assembled itself on its own. And friends said, "No, Newton, tell me really, who made this? I also want a copy of this." Then Newton said, "My dear friend, you cannot believe that this small model can come by chance. How can you tell that the whole universe came by chance? How can you tell that the original solar system came by chance? Right? That cannot happen. If the small replica has got a creator, why not the original planets who are moving around in specific orbits? They don't have a creator." Then friend was thinking, "Oh yes, Newton, you're right. I was mistaken." So then he corrects his understanding and then he starts believing in God. So that's Isaac Newton's story. So Isaac Newton says, this most beautiful system of the sun, planets, and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. This being governs all things, not as the soul of the world, but as Lord over all. And on account of his dominion, he is to be called Lord God, universal ruler. Sir Isaac Newton. So he's telling that everything has got a universal ruler. And today we'll be seeing how Lord is the universal prime minister, and he has made a universal government to organize this whole government system in this universe. Okay, so this quote from Newton. Let's see Max Born. I saw in it, he's telling about the atom. I saw in the atom the key to the deepest secret of nature, and it revealed to me the greatness of the creation and creator. So that's Max Born. Srinivasa Ramanujan, he says, an equation for me has no meaning unless it represents a thought of God. See, every equation is a thought of God. Is it a square plus b square is equal to c square, or is equal to e is equal to mc square, or is equal to force is equal to mass into acceleration, whatever formula you take. It is a thought of God. That's what Ramanujan says. Because if you can put the natural phenomena even formula in an equation, it means how precise the laws in the world are working. Right? It's such precision. It means it should be a thought of God. Heisenberg. There is a higher power not influenced by our wishes, which finally decides and judges. Means what? God is the ultimate authority. Whatever he does or he says, that is ultimate. So that's what he's telling here. Michael Faraday. We ought to value the privilege of knowing God's truth far beyond anything we can have in this world. So best knowledge is to study about God. So till now we discussed the quotes of different scientists about the creation and the creator. Okay, now we'll go to another theme to answer two big questions. So that's why we have put this Kaun Garega Crorepati ka logo. So it's a 1 crore answer question. So there are 4 options. What is the origin of universe? A. Big Bang. B. Big Band. C. Intelligent design. And D. Chance. So what is your opinion? Please type in the chat box A, B, C, or D. What's your answer? Oh, Sitaram says Big Bang. Okay. Any other options? Vaishali says C, intelligent design. Rajshekhar says intelligent design. Prashant says Big Bang. Manasa says Big Bang. Okay, so we have a tie between intelligent design and Big Bang. Gokul says Big Bang. Jai Chandrasekhar says chance. Okay, so we have an odd man out here. Raghuram says Big Bang. Okay, so let's discuss what is the answer for this. Okay, so now Big Bang is widely accepted theory, right? And it's widely discussed theory, but that's a theory without proof. Big Bang has no meaning. Chance, the chance cannot be like what we saw in yesterday's session. Nothing comes with chance. Everything must have a organizer, artist, creator, lawmaker. Right? So chance is ruled out because nothing happens by chance. Like, is this class happening by chance? No, this class was planned. We chose a specific time, we chose a specific topic, and we are discussing the topic now. It's not by chance, it's by plan. So what remains is 2 options, Big Bang and intelligent design. So let's discuss about this topic. I'll go a little ahead and again come back to the second question. So I came a little ahead and I'll go back again after some few slides. Have you seen a complicated machine which came by chance and has no purpose? Like, this complicated machine is there. Any machine, computer, building, even a pen and pencil has a maker or designer. Logically, the far more complex and awesome universe must have a super intelligent designer and producer. Like, if all of you are staying in some room or some office, wherever you are, just look around your room. Right? I have many things here in this room. Right? Has anything in this room come by chance and without any purpose? Like, I have a water bottle here because I know I'll be thirsty. I kept my water bottle. I have this laptop from which I'm speaking because I know I have to give a class. And I have this fan going on or some this windows and lights on. Why? Because this room is meant for conferences. It's a conference room. Similarly, in your home, you will see some TV will be there, or refrigerator is there, or some broom or pencil or kitchen. Whatever you see in your home, everything you got there because it has a purpose. You needed it, and it is manufactured by some company, isn't it? Is there anything which has come by chance? Right? And if you agree with this, please type yes. Is there anything in this room, in your room, which has come by chance? If the answer is no, right, it means it has been created by somebody, isn't it? Right. So nothing in the room has come by chance. So now go outside the room. If everything in the room has not come by chance, then outside the room also there are trees, there are mountains, there are rivers. They are in a particular place and they have been put there. By whom? The Supreme Lord. So because they also have a purpose. And imagine if the Western Ghats, the tall mountains, if they're not there, what would have happened? Because every time monsoon comes from this direction, if the Western Ghats is not there, then there will be no rain, isn't it? Because the Western Ghats holds the clouds and heavy rain comes there. And because of the rain coming in the Western Ghats, all the rivers, Krishna, Kaveri, Godavari, right, Tungabhadra, they all get filled up. And then they take the water to the lands. Everything has got a plan. And the mountains, the rivers, the valleys, everything has a purpose. Nothing has come by chance. That's how we can understand. Now let's say Big Bang. What is Big Bang theory? According to Big Bang theory, everything began from a point of infinite temperature. A point, small point of infinite temperature, infinite density, infinitesimal size, that is physically undescribable, mathematically unverifiable, beyond all conceptions of time and space. Now, have you seen such a point? Can any scientist replicate such a point of infinite temperature, infinite density, infinite size, that is physically indescribable? Right? It is not possible, isn't it? So, and such a point, they say that it exploded. And when such a point exploded, then whole creation came. Now, if a bang can create this creation, and by that bang, all of us are here, all living beings are here, then what I can do? I can do an experiment. Because science means it should be repeatable. Right? Science means three things. First is observation, hypothesis, then experimentation. So when you observe something, then you make a hypothesis, and then you make experimentation. So if the scientists talk about Big Bang, first thing they have not observed that bang. That's first point. But they have made a hypothesis. Hypothesis means they have extended the truth and telling that everything has come from that bang. And third thing, experiment. Have they experimented the bang? So experiment means what? I'll take bombs and keep throwing bombs. Okay, so I want Taj Mahal to boom and explode the bomb, and Taj Mahal should come. Even after 100 years, 1,000 years, it should come from the bang. But we don't see such a thing happening. First thing, first question we ask when any bang happens is, how many people died? At Hiroshima and Nagasaki nuclear bomb was put. First thing people ask, how many people died? What is the impact? Right? So bang never leads to creation. Bang always leads to destruction. Right? So Big Bang theory, it's a theory. It is not a proof. See, there is theory and proof. Theory should have a proof, then only it is acceptable. But this theory has got no proof, isn't it? It should be emphasized that no theory of the origin of solar system has as yet won general acceptance. All involve highly improbable assumptions. Encyclopedia Britannica. Right? There are many theories proposed about the origin of the universe, but none of them has been accepted. Big Bang theory, string theory, and Darwin's theory of evolution is there. That we'll discuss maybe tomorrow, or tomorrow we'll discuss Darwin's theory. So it all involves highly improbable assumptions. So one is Big Bang, but the other thought is big brain. That everything is created by big brain. Even if assuming that Big Bang happened, let's assume that Big Bang happened. If that Big Bang produces an ordered universe, means that bang should be controlled creation, controlled explosion. Then only it can create, like nuclear power plants. When you explode the nuclear elements in a controlled fashion, then you can generate electricity and use it for constructive purposes. Similarly, if this bang created this orderly universe means it should have been controlled by somebody. Who controlled it? And even if that bang happened, then who triggered that bang? Who triggered it and who controlled it? And then you have to bring a superpower in picture. That is God. Right? Even if assuming Big Bang is true, first of all, there is no proof for Big Bang. Even if you're assuming it is true, there should be a brain behind that. Right? So that is the thought about Big Bang. So coming to this point, so it leaves two options, a Big Bang or a big brain. So intelligent design is nothing but big brain. So can we conclude that a big brain or intelligent design is the cause of this creation? What do you say? Please type yes or no in the chat box. From what we discussed till now, can we conclude that big brain is the cause of creation? Yes or no? Okay, and Rajshekhar says 100%. Sitaram says yes. Arshab says yes. Okay, thank you so much. So, Gunjans, no, but still in doubt. Yes, so doubt will surely be there. So stay more. We'll come at the end of the session. We can take questions if they are. So, and even in scientists, there are two sects. One is one is the people who believe in chance theory, and the other intelligent scientists who believe in creation, intelligent design. So all the famous scientists which are quoted now, Einstein, Newton, Kelvin, they all believed in intelligent design. They didn't believe in chance or Big Bang, right? If you say that Big Bang is the cause of the universe, then you should prove it. Right? If any of you in the audience, if you say that Big Bang is the cause of this universe, then you should experimentally prove it. Then we'll be able to accept that Big Bang is true. So for that, you have to create the bang. Means you will control the bang, isn't it? Without you, how can you create the Big Bang? So there should be an operator. There should be a scientist operating the Big Bang. That's the point, isn't it? Yeah, Big Bang theory is a hypothesis, correct? Yeah, so Big Bang theory has no proof. It's just a design, correct? So that's why there should be alternative. So Vedic alternative gives, Vedic knowledge gives an alternative. So let's see ahead. Now, if a universe is created by intelligent design, then there should be a purpose. So what is the purpose of this universe? A, eat, sleep, and be merry. B, kabhi khushi, kabhi gham. Right? Sometimes be happy, sometimes moroseness. C, no purpose of the universe. And D, to understand God and life. Yes. So what are your options? A, B, C, or D? Okay, Sitaram says D, correct. Everybody is writing D. Thank you. That's the correct answer. Lock कर देंगे हम. We'll lock this answer D. Yeah. Yeah, some questions about Pralaya are coming, so we'll answer it at the end. We'll finish this first. So there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita 16.8 which tells about asuric or demoniac mentality. Asatyam apratishtam te jagadahuranishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama haitukam. They say that this world is unreal with no foundation and no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. So this is the characteristics of demoniac mentality. First of all, they say asatyam, this world is unreal. How can this world be unreal? We are seeing, we are living in it. We are feeling this world. How can it be unreal? It is temporary, but it is not unreal. It is real. Asatyam. Apratishtamte, the world has no foundation. Means they say there is no God. Jagadahur Anishwaram. They say nobody is in control. And how can nobody be in control? Even we are controlled by government. When government says lockdown, you have to be locked down. Right? And even God also sometimes does lockdown. And everything goes like So question about pradaya came. When Lord does pradaya, everything withdraws. And again everything is created. Bhutva bhutva pradiyate. Right? So they say this world is meant for my enjoyment. Kim manyat kama hetukam. So they Asuric people, they just try to enjoy this world and exploit this world. That is the nature of Asuric mentality, because they don't accept God. And examples were there in Shastras. Here you see this Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu thought, I can be the controller of this universe. And he did tapasya and he became powerful. And he got a benediction from Brahmaji that he cannot be killed on land, nor air, nor inside, nor outside the home, nor with weapons, nor by human, nor by animal. He put so many conditions, but still Lord came as Narsimhadev and killed him. Right? So demons existed even in the past. Similarly here, Ravana. Ravana wanted to kidnap Sita, right? And he wanted to be the controller of this world. And he wanted to build a bridge from Lanka to Swarga. So that was his ambition. He wanted to control even all the Devatas also. But Lord Rama came and killed him. So these kind of demons existed in the past also. And they were taught a lesson by the Lord. So we already discussed this Big Bang and Big Brain. So let's see comparison. See, there is a national government and there is a universal government. In our national government, we have Home Ministry, which takes care of law and order. Like somebody does good, they reward him with Padma Bhushan, Bharata Ratna. And if somebody breaks the laws, then they're put in jail or punished. Similarly, in the universal government, somebody breaks the laws, like somebody does illicit sex, then he gets a disease like AIDS. Smoking, then he gets a disease like cancer. Drinking, then he may get liver problems, right? And now the whole world is suffering because of Corona. Because somewhere or the other, people have disobeyed the laws of Lord by eating innocent wild creatures, isn't it? So you break the law, there is punishment. Similarly, there's health ministry. They provide medicines. Like government also provides medicines in the hospitals. But God has already provided medicines, Ayurvedic herbs. Nasti moolam anoshadam. Every leaf can be a medicine, only if you know how to use it. Right? It is said that for corona, there is no medicine, but there is a, what is it called, prevention. Means if you increase your immunity, you can prevent it from attacking you. Like, and what are the medicines? The doctors are prescribing turmeric, ginger. You put it in water, boil it, and then mix a pinch of honey, and then you can take it. So that's increases immunity. So God has already given medicines for all these diseases. And there were some of our friends in Bangladesh. So they got corona, and within 4 days they got cured because their lifestyle is so regulated, and they increase their immunity by drinking turmeric and milk and turmeric and ginger. That within 4 days they were released. So Ministry of Energy, there is electricity and lightning, right? So we have to pay tax to the electricity board. But God has already given us sun and moon, daylight and nightlight. Sun is daylight, moon is nightlight. Finance ministry, it gives us printed currency note. But God has given us original currency, gold, silver, navaratnas and diamonds, etc. See, whatever notes we are having in our pocket, that has value because that represents the quantity of gold kept in the reserve bank. Right? That represents gold. Actual wealth is gold, not paper. Defense ministry, protection from dangers. Like there's army, there is navy, there's air force. So similarly, God has also given defense, like ozonosphere, which protects us from harmful rays. And there is immunity in the body to fight against the diseases. Why fever comes? Fever comes because body is fighting. Right? When foreign body enters the body, when there is fighting from the antigens in the body with the antibodies and the viruses, that's why the temperature increases. So increase of temperature in the body indicates a fight happening. And if we have strong immunity, we win. Education ministry, education for citizens. Right? We have colleges, we have engineering, medical, law, MBA, so many colleges. Similarly, God has also given us knowledge in the form of Vedas and even other religions like Bible and Quran. They also give knowledge. See, there is national government and there is universal government. And universal government laws are also functioning very accurately and precisely. Okay, so we'll discuss one whole session about law of karma, where we'll see how intricately the law of karma is working in this world. So this is the last slide for today. So what is the prime duty after knowing about God? We should use our intelligence to appreciate the great creation of God. Right? If you are an engineer, then you can appreciate God's creation. Like I studied electronics engineering. Now I can easily appreciate when I see electron. I studied something which I cannot see. Electron I cannot see, but I studied 4 years about it in the college. And it's so amazing. It can produce light, it can produce heat, it can produce cooling effect in the AC. And when it's in the computer, it can do wonders, silicon. And it's electronics engineering. One field of God's creation is so amazing. God has given this silicon such a property that you can create wonders out of it. You can create semiconductors, isn't it? So that's the creation of God. One aspect of God's creation is so vast. There's electronics engineering, there is electrical, there is computers, there is civil, there is biotechnology, and so many. One aspect of God's creation is unlimited knowledge is there. So how much knowledge God must be having? So to unfold miseries of God's creation through science to glorify God. To understand and explain the purpose of God's creation, which is to love God and love all. And the last duty of us is to utilize everything for pleasure of God and welfare of all. Like we have got so much technology nowadays. We have vehicles, we have laptops, mobiles, and so many gadgets. So we need not reject it, but we can use it properly in God's service. Like we are using this facility of teleconferencing to conduct Gita classes. So in this way, we can use technology in glorifying God. So that's our duty. So we end here on today's topic. And next session, obviously, when we discuss the topic of God, when you say God exists, immediately next question comes is, if God exists, how can I see him? Why is he not visible? There's a basic question which comes. So in the next session, we'll discuss, if God exists, then how can I see him? What is the way to see him? Right? Because we are not discussing something very theoretical. We want to practically experience God, right? That's the goal of this session. So next session, we'll go one step ahead and we'll learn 3 ways of gaining knowledge, Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda Pramana. And we'll discuss how we can come closer to understand God. So thank you very much for being with us today. Today we basically discussed scientist opinions. We discussed Big Bang theory and we discussed about universal government. So now some questions have come here. One question is, Vaishalitosha, what about Jalapralaya which was happened on earth? Did it make the earth and continents? Yeah. So Pralaya is destruction. Destruction doesn't cause creation. So Pralaya happens when the world is going to come to a halt. So at that time, water level rises and the whole earth becomes covered with water. And that happens in the night of Brahma. Ratri agame praliyante prabhavanti aharagame. In the night time of Brahma, the water covers the planets. And in the daytime of Brahma, again water recedes and again fresh creation is done by Brahmaji. So that's what happens. For this, we'll have to get into Vedic creation knowledge, which we discuss with the first online Gita course batch. We already discussed. So we'll be discussing with you also in the future about more details of creation. As of today, scientists have not been able to find what else could lead to the creation of the universe. Yeah, nobody, it's clueless. Nobody can has found out the origin of creation. So Vedas give us hint into what is the cause of creation. Why must God create something to understand himself? Yeah. Actually, the goal is that we must understand God, right? So now we have forgotten God. So by seeing the world around, we can try to understand the presence of God, and we can try to come closer to understand God by reading Vedas, right? So in Vedic literatures, God tells about Himself. Vedas are Auparushaya. Next session will be that. But how can we get right knowledge? So when, like for example, when you are purchasing some mobile or some gadget, along with that comes a manual. So that manual gives the entire details of that gadget. Similarly, when God creates this world, God gives us a manual for this world. That is the Vedas. So when you read and understand the Vedas, you can get the perfect knowledge. So Rajshekhar is typing, one thing to all from my side, our Indian old science itself told one thing about universe is what is existing in Pindas. That's only existed in whole universe. How they could identify. I didn't understand what is this Pindas. You mean to say Brahmandas? Maybe you can clarify the question, then I can speak about it. One beautiful question is coming here. Everyone needs a creator. God created us. Who created God? And this is a beautiful question. I was expecting this question. If God created everything, then who created God? It's also $1 million question. So actually, if everything is created by God, then He is God. But if you say that God is also created by somebody, right, then He doesn't become God. The one who created Him, He becomes God. So we have to find out, we have to go up the ladder and find out who is that person who is not created by anybody. He is God. Right? So one who is not controlled by anybody, He is God. So by the process of experimentation, we can find out who is that person. So we have to go to all the 7 billion people in this planet and ask, are you created? Are you created by somebody? Do you have mother and father? Do you have mother and father? So then you can find out, and by elimination, you can find out who is God. But that's a very difficult process. So another process is, if God tells, I am the person who has not been created by anybody, then you can easily accept. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Ajopisan Avyayatma Bhutanam Ishwaropisan Prakritim Swam Dishtaya Sambhavami Atmaya. He says, I am not born, I am unborn. Right? In the 4th chapter of Gita, 4th chapter, verse number, I think 5, he says, Arjuna, I have no mother and father. I am unborn. But still I accept mother and father. I accept Yashoda and Devaki as mothers, Nanda and Vasudeva as fathers. He has no God, but still he becomes son of somebody in this world. So he says, he openly declares in Bhagavad Gita that I am Supreme Lord. So God is one who by definition is not created by anybody. That is God. So Srimad Bhagavatam defines God as Janmadhyasya, from whom everything came, and He is not created by anybody. That is God. So that definition should be very clear. So Alex is writing, we are in the mechanism. What I mean, that ecosystem, circle or chain. No power need to govern us. Every action has a reaction like karma. To build one thing, we need to destroy one thing. Like that, the earth is created by bang. See, you are telling that no power need to govern us. But you are still telling that there is something like karma. Every action gives reaction. See, if there is some law working, then there should be a lawmaker, right? That's a logical question. If you say that every action of yours, like if you work hard, you are telling that you should get result. Now, who is making that law? That if you work hard, you should get the result. Who is giving the results? Somebody should be giving the result. So that somebody is controlling that mechanism. So who is that person controlling? That is God, right? So if you say that laws are working, means there should be a lawmaker, right, Alex? If you see there is an ecosystem, if you see there is order in this world, means there should be order keeper. Otherwise, everything will go chaos. For example, if there is no traffic police, what will happen? Everywhere vehicles will go and there will be accidents. So police is there to keep law and order. Similarly, if you see some law and order in this world, means there should be a law keeper. So that is God. So we cannot deny the existence of God in that sense. So atom, Rajshekhar I think is continuing. So Rajshekhar, is your question in connection to the previous one? We are telling that the one thing which created is atom, Anu. Yes, Anu is a building block of life, but the combination of Anus makes this whole universe, isn't it? So the Anu should also have a creator. There is Anu, there is Paramanu. That Paramanu means about subatomic particles. They're also created by the Lord. And that's mentioned in the Vedas. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the words Anu, Paramanu, they are all mentioned. And the Anus are held together by the energy of the Lord. Right? Even if it's a chemical bonding, how are chemicals able to bond with each other and produce water and so many other molecules? Because the energy of the Lord's Bibrat Shakti, Lord's amalgamation Shakti is holding all the atoms in place. That's how the atoms and molecules get their properties. So Alex is writing, energy required to create the mechanism. Energy created by Big Bang. Yes, even if the Big Bang created that energy, but who gave that energy to that point, right? That's the question. If energy is coming from that Big Bang, I mean somebody triggered that energy, isn't it? So who built that energy into that small particle that explosion created such energy? And if that energy is creating this creation, when somebody is controlling that energy, like if I give Alex a bomb and you say go and explode this and create at least a toy car, is it possible? Right? Now, if you want to try it, still you have to control that energy. Means you are there to control it. Without a controller, you cannot do a controlled bang. That's the point, right? So even Darwin said, let's go to the tomorrow's session. I'll bring one point from today only. Like how the life came. He said there was a prebiotic soup, and then the molecules came together, and then they formed amino acids, then they formed proteins, and then they formed unicellular organisms, and then they form multicellular organisms. So that is the point which he makes. Now, can it be experimentally proven? Now, scientists tried to make an experiment, and one particular scientist, he made an experiment. He put molecules inside, and he made electric shocks and lightning and temperature control, pressure control, as if to replicate the time of creation. So that's what he did, prebiotic time. So then he was able to produce some amino acids, and he thought, "This is wonderful. We are successful. We have created one amino acid." But one amino acid cannot create life. We need 20 amino acids. Also, all amino acids should be left centered. There are two kinds of amino acids, left and right centered. Now, to create one amino acid is so difficult. We did it. But to create protein from those amino acids combine together to form protein, and proteins become the building blocks of life, right? People take protein diet to increase their muscles, isn't it? So to create that protein is not possible. Now this scientist was able to make that one amino acid. Now was it possible to make that amino acid without the scientist? No. Similarly, even if you agreed that in the time of creation, at the time, and the controlled thing led to combination of amino acids and proteins and came to life, when somebody was controlling it. Just like here, without the scientist, you cannot make an experiment. Similarly, without a controller, how can you produce life in the beginning of creation? That is the point. So at every point of time, there is a person need to supervise the whole thing. So that's what Bhagavad Gita says, and the Vedic literature says that everything is created by an intelligent person. All the species of life were created at the time of creation simultaneously by the intelligent personality. So that's what is the Vedic version.
Ajay.
Yes, Gokul.
Hello.
Yes, Gokul. Please.
Yeah, this is Gokul. Good evening. And in the previous sessions, you said soul doesn't clone itself, just get a better body.
Yeah. Yes.
But when the extinction of some species occurs, you just get a better body, right?
See, as far as I understand your question, you are telling that if some
Right.
species are getting extinct, so what is
Extinct,
happening?
yes.
What is happening to those bodies? What's happening to the soul,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So suppose a person is there. Suppose a particular soul is there. He is there in a particular animal species, for example, and that soul from that animal species gets promoted to a higher species, right? And then promoted to a higher species. Now the
Okay.
soul is getting promoted. The bodies are there as it is, but the soul is getting promoted to higher species, and he finally comes to human species, which is the highest body, the highest species. And from the human body, he has a chance to go back to Godhead from where he originally came. Right? So that's the point. So
Is there any count like this is the total number of souls that exist in the world? Can say like that. There must be some count, right?
Vedas, actually, Shastra say there are Ananta. Ananta means uncountable, unlimited number of souls are there in this universe. So which God only knows how much it is. With our tiny, like, can we count the number of stars in the sky?
No.
It's not possible. So similarly, but it is fixed. Number of stars we cannot be able to count, but number of stars is fixed. Similarly, the number of souls is also only God knows how many number of souls are there, but we cannot count. So in general sense, it is said Ananta, unlimited. Similarly, just like we say, unlimited stars are there. Even scientists may give some figures, 10 to the power of 100 or something. They may say so many stars are there, but we cannot experimentally verify it. And then it's similarly, souls are also unlimited, and they keep traveling from according to their desires. They keep traveling from one body to another body, as per their karma.
Oh. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. Oh, somebody is asking a question about Bhoot Pishach. Are they not souls? Yeah, they are souls. Like, if you remember, I was telling about gross body, subtle body, and Atma. So Bhoot Pishach are those because of their very bad activities, sinful activities. They have a subtle body but no gross body. They are called as Bhoot Pishach. Like, for example, if somebody commits suicide, suppose he is supposed to live up to 60 years, but at the age of 40 he commits suicide, just for example. But remaining 20 years he is pending. He was supposed to live, but he committed suicide in between. So what to do about remaining 20 years? So God will punish him. See, I gave this such a important human body, valuable body. You misuse it. So for next 20 years, you will not get any gross body. You have to be in subtle body only. So Atma and Sukshma Sharira, it keeps hovering around in the atmosphere. So they are called as Bhut Pisach. So what is the punishment there? They are feeling hungry, but they cannot eat because they don't have gross body, physical body. They are feeling thirsty, but they cannot drink water. They want to speak, but they don't have mouth to speak. So what they try to do, they try to capture others' body and enter into their body and use their body for fulfilling their desires. So they are called Bhut Pisach. So, but generally those who are unclean, those who are having bad habits, generally they get affected. But those who are devotees of the Lord, those who have faith in the Lord, those who are chanting the names of the Lord, they need not worry. They can be fearless because they will not harm them. Yeah. So Aditya Pandey is asking, can you please introduce yourself and platform as well through which we'll be able to connect more peoples? Okay. So I think Aditya wants to connect more people to us. So actually I'm Suvarna Gorardas. Most of you may be knowing my name. I'm from Karnataka only. and I now stay in ISKCON Cultural Center, which is in Kumaraswamy Layout, South Bangalore. And I'm here since last many years. Basically, I was very interested in spirituality since my early days in school. One of my teachers, an English teacher, he kindled my spiritual desires in very young age when I was in 8th standard. And I was inspired to read many books about yogis and um, Gandhi's books and even Mahabharata, Ramayana. And as I progressed in my age, I got very interested in spirituality. Then I systematically learned Bhagavad Gita of Srila Prabhupada, E.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada of ISKCON. And I also studied deeply in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And parallelly, I was also pursuing my career. I was working in IBM, International Business Machines, which most of you will be knowing. I was working in IBM India Service Lab, and I was working for many projects. Therefore, spiritual aspiration became more and more stronger. So then one day I thought I can do much better service, contributing by teaching this Bhagavad Gita and the knowledge which I learned from my teachers to the people. So since last 8 years, I am serving fully under the instructions of my Guru and trying to spread this knowledge of Gita to different people, especially youth. I go to many colleges, universities. In Kumaraswamy Layout, we have about 20 schools where we do such programs. Now, because of lockdown, we are doing online programs. Like we are doing programs for you. We also have 2 programs going on daily, morning 11 o'clock, evening 4 o'clock for school children, where they come and we teach value education to them based on Gita, Mahabharata and all. And in our temple, we have many activities for youths and adults, families. They all come together and have wonderful programs on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So like that. So that's basically what I do. And how to connect people to such platforms. Yeah, one thing is this: every day I take evening 6 o'clock Bhagavad Gita session. This is mainly for new people, evening 6 o'clock and evening 7 o'clock. Apart from this, I take other programs for regular people who are with us since last many years. We have more deeper discussions with them, and that's all. And we also have weekly Prana festivals in the evening at 6:30. And if you want to contact me, I can share my email ID. I'm typing here. Generally, I avoid using any social media. I just use email and mobile phone, simple phone. But my assistants are there. They handle WhatsApp groups, through which you get communications. And we also have Facebook page, which our assistants handle it. And you can also put your queries through that also. Even if you put your questions in the WhatsApp group, they'll show it to me and I can reply. Or you can write to me on this email ID directly, and I can reply by email. So that's what I can say. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. One more question had come. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, modern scientists say. Is it true according to our Puranas? You said energetic person will create energy. That's true. Energy can never be created nor destroyed. But energy can be transformed from one form to another form. That is true. Even the Vedas also say that. There's a quotation in Bhagavad Gita which says, in 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Avyaktaadini bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata avyakta nidhanani eva tatra ka paridevana. It is said that in the beginning matter is unmanifest, and later it becomes manifest, and again it becomes unmanifest. So it's all created, but the energy remains same. Like our body, it's an energy. Now it is in this form, but when a person dies, the energy of the body becomes mud, right? Because it gets decomposed or it gets burnt and it becomes ashes. But that's mud. Maybe you put a plant there and it becomes a tree and gives fruits and flowers. So the body became mud and the mud became fruits and flowers. And then again the tree also dies and it becomes wood dry wood and you burn it and you get to the ashes. So the energy is transformed, material energy is transformed from one form to another form, but the net total amount of material energy remains same. So what science says about energy is also true with this. Okay. So I hope it answers all your questions of today's session, and you may be having some more questions which we can take tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be discussing on the topic of Pratyaksha Pramana, Anumana Pramana and Shabda Pramana, which discusses about 3 ways of getting knowledge. Basically, we'll be discussing how to see God or can we see God. Okay. So see you tomorrow again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Your journey.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. We'll end our meeting today. I'll meet you tomorrow. I'll be sending a quiz which you can answer and revise the concepts of today. Hare Krishna.